No one saw this coming. Ripa, the woman who always lights up the screen with laughter and charm, suddenly broke down live on air today. It started like any other episode of Live with Kelly and Mark. The jokes, the smiles, the easy banter with her husband, Mark Consuelos. But then, something changed. Her voice cracked. Her eyes filled with tears. And in that moment, you could feel it. Something was deeply wrong. What happened between Kelly and Mark today has left fans across America in absolute shock. This wasn't scripted, this wasn't TV drama. This was real, raw, and heartbreakingly human. Stay with us, because the truth behind Kelly's emotional breakdown today is something no one expected, and it might just change how you see her forever. We've all seen those headlines, haven't we? The ones that scream from the supermarket checkout, promising a scandal that will rock Hollywood. Most of the time, we just shake our heads and move on with our day. But sometimes a story emerges that isn't about scandal at all. It's about something far deeper, something that resonates not with a cynical bang, but with a profound, echoing truth. This is one of those stories. This isn't about what shocked everyone on live television. It's about why it happened and the breathtaking lesson it holds for every single one of us, especially those of us who know that the most compelling chapters of our lives are often written after 50. It was a Tuesday morning, no different than any other. Millions of Americans, perhaps you were among them, had their televisions tuned to Live with Kelly and Mark. The coffee was brewing, the day's plans were being made. Kelly and Mark were their usual charming selves, a couple whose on-air chemistry felt as comfortable and familiar as a favorite sweater. They've been married for nearly 30 decades, a veritable eternity in Hollywood years. We watch them and we think we know the story. The handsome couple, the successful careers, the picture-perfect life. But then something changed. They began to speak about a trip they'd taken to Italy, a celebration of their years together. The banter was light, playful. Mark was teasing Kelly about her obsession with finding the perfect linen tablecloth. And then Kelly looked at him, a soft, almost wistful look in her eyes, and she said, "You know, in that little village in Positano, I had a moment." The studio got quiet. Mark's teasing smile softened. He reached for her hand. And then Ripa, the woman who has navigated live television for over 20 years with unshakable poise, began to cry. Not a single dignified tear. These were deep, heartfelt sobs that seemed to come from a place she had kept hidden for a very, very long time. The studio audience fell silent. Mark Consuelos, her rock, her partner in crime, looked on, his own eyes glistening, not with sadness, but with what I can only describe as a profound and overwhelming love. The video clip went viral, of course. The headlines blared, "Kelly breaks! Shocking emotional moment!" But they missed the point entirely. What happened in that studio wasn't a breakdown, it was a breakthrough. And the reason for it is a lesson that can redefine the second half of our lives if we're brave enough to listen. To understand the power of that moment, we have to rewind the tape, not to their wedding day in 1996, but further back, to the stories they've told about their early years together. We think of them as Kelly and Mark, the unshakable unit, but they were once two individuals, carrying their own baggage, their own scars. Mark has spoken about the quiet insecurity of being a young actor, of the fear that he would never be enough. Kelly, a powerhouse in her own right, navigated the minefield of daytime television, a world that constantly judges a woman's age, her appearance, her voice. For years, their partnership was their fortress. They built a family, they built careers, they built a life. But here's the truth that so many of us in our 60s understand. Building a life with someone doesn't mean you stop being an individual. The dreams you had at 25 don't just vanish, sometimes they just get quieter, layered over by the beautiful, demanding noise of raising children, paying mortgages, and caring for aging parents. You become a team, a we, and the I can sometimes feel like a luxury you no longer have time for. And that, my friends, is where the seed for that live television moment was planted. It wasn't in a fight or a disagreement. It was in the quiet, accumulated weight of all those postponed I. It was in the love that was so strong that it sometimes forgot to make room for the individual souls within the partnership. This is a tension so many long-married couples know intimately, but rarely discuss. We're supposed to be happy, grateful, and we are. But gratitude doesn't erase the whisper of a dream deferred. So what changed? What caused the dam to break on a random Tuesday morning? It was the trip. This wasn't just a vacation. It was a pilgrimage. It was the two of them deliberately stepping away from the we of their daily lives and rediscovering the I and the you. In the sun-drenched piazzas of Italy, with no schedule and no audience, they weren't Kelly and Mark, the TV personalities. They were just Kelly and just Mark. And in that space, something powerful began to stir. Kelly has since hinted that they had conversations there that they hadn't had in years. Not about work or kids or logistics, but about fears, about regrets, about the parts of themselves they felt they had lost along the way. Mark listened, not as a husband waiting for his turn to speak, but as a man truly hearing the woman he loved, perhaps for the first time in a long time. And in that listening, he saw not just his wife, but the whole, complete, and complex person she is. He saw the accumulated weight of her own silenced dreams. And it was this act of being truly seen, not as a partner in the business of life, but as a soul on a continuing journey that unlocked something deep within Kelly. So when she sat on that familiar couch back in the studio and began to recount that moment of being seen, the emotion didn't just come from a happy memory, it came from the catharsis of a 28-year-long knot finally being loosened. The tears were a release of all the times she had been strong, all the times she had compartmentalized her own needs for the good of the team. And Mark's reaction, the gentle holding of her hand, the tears in his own eyes, wasn't pity, it was recognition. It was him saying, "I see you. I finally truly see all of you, and I love you more for it." This right here is the first shocking truth of their story. The greatest gift you can give your long-term partner is not unwavering strength, but unwavering attention. It's the courage to stop and ask, "Who are you now? What do you need now?" The answer might surprise you, and the emotional release that follows might just shock everyone watching. The music builds to a subtle crescendo, then pauses. Anne holds the gaze of the camera, letting the message sink in. A cliffhanger is implied. If this was the first shocking truth, what is the second, even more profound revelation waiting to be uncovered? The story of Kelly's tears is far from over.